Hey everyone, before we get into today's story, I just want to say that what I'm about to share still haunts me. It's one of those experiences that completely changes how you see the world. And I've been debating whether to even talk about this publicly. But I think it's important that people know what happened. This all started about 6 months ago. I was living a pretty standard, quiet life in a small city apartment, working remotely as a graphic designer. I mostly kept to myself. One evening, I was coming home from the grocery store around 8 p.m. As I was walking up the stairs to my 4th-floor apartment, I noticed someone standing outside my door. This immediately put me on edge because I never have visitors without a call first. The person was wearing a long dark coat with their back to me. Primera slowed down, trying to decide what to do. Then they turned around. And the thing that still gets me is that he looked completely normal. Mid-30s, average build, clean-shaven, wearing glasses. He looked like an accountant or a teacher. He smiled a normal, friendly smile and asked, "Hey, are you the person who lives here?" His voice was soft, polite even. I nodded slowly, keeping my distance. "I am," I said. "Can I help you with something?" He took a small step forward, and I instinctively stepped back. He noticed and held up his hands. "Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you," he said. "I know this is going to sound really strange, but I have a rather unusual request. I've been looking for someone like you for quite some time." "Someone like me?" I asked, my heart starting to race. There was something about the way he was looking at me that made my skin crawl. He smiled again. "You have a very particular face," he said. "The bone structure, the proportions. It's quite rare. I've been searching for months, and when I saw you the other day at the coffee shop on 5th Street, I knew you were exactly what I needed." Chills went down my spine. He'd been watching me. He'd followed me. I couldn't even remember being at that coffee shop. "Look, I don't know what you want," I said, trying to sound brave, "but you need to leave. Right now. I'm going to call the police." He didn't seem bothered. He just kept that calm expression. "Please, just hear me out," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just need to borrow something from you. Something you won't even miss." "Borrow what?" I asked, even though part of me knew I should just run. "Your face," he said simply, like it was the most normal request in the world. I stared at him, trying to process what he'd just said. My face. "What are you talking about? Are you insane?" He sighed, as if I were being difficult. "I know how it sounds, but I'm being completely literal. I need to borrow your face, just for a little while. A few hours at most. You wouldn't even need to be conscious for it. I have a procedure, you see. It's quite painless. I would simply make a few precise incisions, carefully remove the facial tissue, use it for what I need, and then return it to you. With proper care, the reattachment would be seamless." I felt sick. This person was calmly describing how he wanted to cut off my face. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My brain had just shut down. "I understand you need time to think about it," he continued, reaching into his coat. I pulled out my phone, ready to dial 911, but he just pulled out a business card. "This has my contact information," he said, holding it out. "I'm willing to compensate you quite generously. 6 figures. Think about what you could do with that kind of money." I didn't take the card. He gently placed it on the floor. "I'll give you some time to consider," he said. "But please, don't wait too long. I have a rather pressing deadline." He smiled again, but this time I saw something cold and empty behind it. "I do hope you'll make the right decision. It would be unfortunate if I had to pursue alternative methods of acquisition." That last sentence made my blood run cold. He turned and walked away. I stood there forever, just trying to breathe, before finally getting inside and locking everything. I called the police. 2 officers showed up. I told them everything and showed them the card. "Ma'am," one of them said, "did this person actually threaten you or touch you?" He said he wanted to cut off my face. I said, "Isn't that enough?" They explained that without an explicit threat of violence, there wasn't much they could do besides file a report. They took the card and left. The card just had a name, James Mitchell, and a phone number that went to a generic voicemail. For the next few days, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. About a week later, I saw him again at the same coffee shop. He was in the corner, watching me. When our eyes met, he smiled and waved, like we were old friends. I left immediately. That night, a note was slipped under my door. It just said, "Time is running out. Please reconsider my offer." I called the police again. Some response. I started to feel like I was going crazy. I began researching online and found deeply disturbing things about underground markets for human tissue and unsolved cases where victims were found with their faces surgically removed. This wasn't just some random person. Other plan. Then things got worse. I started noticing other people watching me. Or maybe I was just paranoid. 2 weeks after the first encounter, I woke up to my doorknob turning. Someone was trying to get into my apartment. I grabbed my phone and pepper spray and hid in the bathroom, barricading myself inside as I called the police. I could hear the bookshelf I'd pushed against the door scraping across the floor. The police arrived before they got in, but the person was gone. The officers suggested I get a better lock and maybe a security camera. That was it. I did install a camera. A few days later, I checked the footage and saw James Mitchell had been standing outside my door at 3 a.m, just standing there, staring at the camera for over an hour. The police said it was creepy, but not technically illegal. I felt completely helpless. I decided I had to take matters into my own hands. I started documenting everything. I joined online forums about stalking and learned to vary my routines. Stay in public and tell everyone what was happening. I even learned from one woman who survived an attack that she had prepared. She had weapons and escape routes planned. So I started doing the same. I'm sharing this now because I need people to understand how serious this is. If someone makes you feel unsafe, trust that feeling. Don't wait for things to get worse. Don't assume the system will protect you. Take action. As for James Mitchell, I haven't seen him in about 2 weeks. Part of me hopes he's moved on, but I know he's probably still out there, watching, waiting. I've essentially become a prisoner in my own life, and he hasn't even touched me. That's what stalking does. The constant fear is a form of violence in itself. And when the person stalking you wants something as horrifying as your face, the psychological impact is indescribable. The scariest part is that they often look completely normal. James Mitchell could be anyone. So please, be careful. Pay attention to your surroundings. If something feels off, it probably is. And if you're going through something similar, please know you're not alone. Reach out for help. Document everything. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're overreacting. Your fear is valid. I don't know how this story ends. I'm still living it. Maybe one day I'll feel safe again. But for now, I'm just trying to survive. Thank you for listening, for bearing witness to what I'm going through. Sometimes, just knowing that someone else knows makes the fear a little more bearable. Stay safe, everyone. And remember, if someone ever asks to borrow something that should never be borrowed, run. Just run and don't look back. Thanks for watching.